Let's talk about motivation. Defined as reasons or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a certain way. And here's the thing, you, like most people, probably have the desire and willingness to make a positive change in your life. For example, you might have the desire to start a business and become your own boss because your boss sucks and you might hate working your 9 to 5, or you get the desire to lose weight because the scale is the highest it's ever been, or honestly, you just don't like what you see when you look in the mirror. Or you get the desire to quit bad habits like smoking or drinking because you want to take care more of your body.
Either way, there's a common theme when it comes to motivation. We are typically motivated to make a positive change in our life, but the question is, how do we actually sustain motivation to actually accomplish meaningful goals that we desire, such as starting a business, losing weight, or quitting bad habits like smoking, watching porns, and things like that? In order to find our answer, we're gonna have to go back in time to a special place in 1955.
Disneyland had just opened in Anaheim, California, and a 10-year-old boy walked in, asked for a job, and the boy got a position selling guidebooks for 50 cents a piece. Within a year, he had transitioned to Disney's magic shop where he learned tricks from the older employees. He then experimented with jokes and he tried out simple routines on the visitors. And then soon when he was doing that, he found out that what he loved was not performing magic tricks, but performing in general and making people laugh.
Huh? Hey, thanks a lot. I'll be here all week.
And then from there, he was motivated on becoming a comedian. Starting in his teenage years, he was performing in little clubs like LA, Los Angeles. The clubs were small and his acts were super short. He was rarely on stage for more than 5 minutes. And here's the thing, most of the people in the crowd were too busy drinking or talking with their friends to even pay attention to young boy. One night, he literally delivered his stand-up routine to an empty club. Even though he was grinding, even though it was a struggle for him, here's the thing, there was no doubt he was getting better. His first routines would only last for about 1 to 2 minutes. By high school, his material had expanded to about 5 minutes, and a few years later after that, a 10-minute show. At 19, he was performing weekly for about 20 minutes at a time, and as he kept up his comedic routines, his skills continued to progress. He spent another 10 years experimenting, adjusting, and practicing. He took job as a television writer, and then he was able to land his own appearances on talk shows. By the mid-1970s, he worked his way up into being a regular guest on The Tonight Show and Saturday Night Live. Finally, after nearly 15 years of the grind, 15 years of the work, the young man rose to fame, touring 65 cities in 90 days, selling out on multiple shows, and even had 18,695 people attend one show in Ohio. He catapulted and became one of the most successful comedians of his time. His name is Steve Martin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you. This is too much, really. Well, I don't deserve all this.
So Steve Martin's story offers an interesting perspective of what it takes to stick with your goals for the long term. Comedy is freaking hard. Imagine the fear that you would face going to a crowd, speaking, and trying to make them laugh, and no one makes a freaking laugh or a giggle or anything at all. Yet Steve Martin faced this fear for 18 years straight. So why is it people like Steve Martin can accomplish meaningful goals and sustain their motivation to become something like a comedian, while the rest of us, the majority of us, struggle to stay motivated when we want to accomplish something meaningful like that?
Scientists have been studying this question for many years. While this is still getting studied today, one of the most consistent findings is that the way to maintain motivation and achieve peak levels of desire is to work on tasks of just manageable difficulty. See, the human brain loves the challenge, but only if it's within an optimal zone of difficulty. If you love basketball and you try to play a serious game against a 4-year-old, you're gonna quickly become hella bored, because if you think about it, it'll be too easy. You're gonna block every single shot and you're gonna score every single basket. I mean, just check out these clips. On the other hand, if you play a serious game with a professional basketball player like Steph Curry, you're gonna quickly lose motivation because the game is too hard. Now, think about playing a basketball game against someone who's on your same level. When you guys play, you're gonna score some points, he's gonna score some points, but here's the thing, you have a good chance of winning, but only if you really try. Your focus narrows, distractions fade away, and then you find yourself fully invested at the task at hand. This is a challenge of just manageable difficulty, and it is the prime example of the Goldilocks Rule. The Goldilocks Rule states that humans experience peak motivation when you work on tasks that are just right at the edge of your current abilities. So not too hard, not too easy, just right. So backtracking to Steve Martin's comedy career, it's a real example of the Goldilocks Rule in practice. Each year he grew his comedy routine, but only just by 1 minute or 2, which was keeping him in the optimal zone of difficulty.
Now, the more important question to ask is, how can you apply this to your life? If you want to learn how to stay motivated in order to reach your goals, then there is a second piece to the motivational puzzle that is so crucial to understand. And it has to do with achieving that perfect mix of hard work and happiness. Working on challenges of an optimal level of difficulty has been found to not only be motivating, but also a major source of happiness. As psychologist Gilbert Brim put it, one of the most important sources of human happiness is working on tasks at a suitable level of difficulty. Neither too hard or too easy.
This mix of happiness and peak performance is sometimes referred to as flow, which is what athletes experience when they are in the zone. Flow is the mental state you experience when you're so focused at the task at hand that the rest of the world fades away. Now, in order to reach this state of peak performance, you're gonna need to do 2 things, which is 1, work on challenges at the right level of difficulty, and 2, measure your immediate progress. As psychologist Jonathan Haidt explains, one of the keys to reaching a flow state is that you get immediate feedback about how you're doing at each step.
Speaking about immediate feedback, I'd love the immediate feedback of you pressing that like button and nice subscribe button.
Anyways, seeing yourself make progress in the moment is the secret sauce to staying motivated. Steve Martin would tell a joke and then he would immediately know if it worked based on the laughter of the crowd. Now for him, if it did work, right, imagine the rush of dopamine and positive feedback Steve Martin would get and experience when he would make the crowd crack up. Now in other areas of life, measurement does look a little bit different, but it's so important for you to achieve that little bit of mix of motivation and happiness. For example, in basketball, you get that immediate feedback based on whether or not you score a basket or you score a point. Regardless of how it's measured, the human brain needs some way to visualize our progress if we want to sustain motivation. To make it simple, you need a scoreboard to see your wins and your progress.
To conclude, if we want to solve the mystery of how to stay motivated for a long term, then here's a 2-step formula that you can follow. Step 1, follow the Goldilocks Rule of sticking to tasks of just manageable difficulty. And step 2 is measure your progress and get immediate feedback whenever possible. And the thing is, I get it, wanting to improve your life is easy, but sticking with it is a whole different story. If you want to stay motivated for good, then start with a challenge that's just manageable for you. Measure your progress and then repeat and do it over and over and over again. And that is the 2-step formula of how to sustain motivation and hit your goals. With that being said, I hope you got a lot of value in this video. Please click that subscribe button, join the Live Rich family, click that like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. And as always, live rich.